I said after this. Alright, so with Turtle Rock officially ending support for Back 4 Blood, I figured now would be the best opportunity to come in and start giving some more information on the game. I'll do some more in-depth guides on the deck building once I have all of the cards, or at least more of the cards. But the videos that I will be able to knock out easiest is your cleaners, rating the cleaners, rating what they do, and the armory. Although that'll be a separate video. So essentially, each of the characters in the game that you play is called a cleaner. And they all play pretty much exactly the same. The game plays around a deck building mechanic where you get cards and you bring your cards in. Each character has a card associated with them. And what each of these benefits does is it plays a card that gives them a benefit, such as Evangelo gets a breakout of grabs once every 60 seconds, and he has better stamina regen. That's unique to him. Only he gets that benefit. But the rest of the team still gets a benefit from the card being played, so it gets 5% team movement speed. Each of the characters also has a unique secondary weapon that they start with. Sometimes you want to be playing around this, sometimes you're not going to be playing around this. So, breaking up the characters, you can generally divide the characters into 3 classes. You have your support characters, which would be Mom, Doc, Hang, and Prophet Dan. You have your damage-dealing classes, which would be Tali, Charisse, Jim, Holly, Walker, and then you have your jack-of-all-trades that are kind of hybrids between, they're like utility pieces that are kind of either damage or support type, damage support characters or like pack mule characters, which would be like Evangelo, Hoffman, and Carly. Although realistically speaking, you could just throw the 3 of them into the damage category. So breaking it down like this, the easiest place to start would be breaking down the individual support characters. So you have 4 support characters in the game. Mom is a character that gives 25% temporary health whenever a teammate is incapacitated. Everybody else on the team gets 25 temporary health. She also has a bonus 1 support inventory, so she always starts with 2 support inventory as opposed to having to run cards. For the team, everybody gets double revive speed and 20% slower temporary health decay. Temporary health isn't great. It's good if you're playing around high trauma. So she's a little bit lower. She's probably the worst of the supports in my opinion, because while she's good for beginners, she's good for people that can't manage trauma damage that well because she builds around temporary health. She's better off because she has extra support inventory. She's better off carrying bandages or med kits as opposed to pain meds. In addition to this, one of the things that works against her is her secondary. She starts with a Belusion. The Belusion is one of the worst sidearms in the game. It's very powerful, but it has to be reloaded every single time. Which means you're either going to be going one-shot switch if you're running that perk, or you're going to be sitting through the reload time massively. Because you're only getting one shot as well, unlike most of the other shotguns, it pretty much means you're going to be running a different secondary. I've seen a lot of people try and build her around shotguns, like double shotgun build. It does not work. She's good. It's just that the other support characters, in my opinion, are a little bit better. So then the second best would probably be Prophet Dan. Prophet Dan is a very unique character. So the way it works is that he gets enhanced for a short duration whenever a cleaner gets incapacitated. So whenever your other 3 teammates, he gets enhanced. And basically it just means he has faster movement speed, faster reload speed, faster rate of fire. It makes him better at combat for a very short duration after they get revived. And every time you revive a cleaner, your team gets a permanent bonus. Like 5% damage reduction, or 5% damage bonus, 5% reload speed. So, but he has to get the reload. So he kind of fills the role as the team's revive specialist. As a medic, where getting people back up again is priority. The team effect that he has is for helping on revives. 3 damage resistance and knockback immunity while reviving. So basically, when you start reviving, You are not going to get stopped from reviving unless you yourself go down. This is pretty good in a team-based play. However, the downside to me that holds Dan back a little bit from being a little bit higher up out of the support characters has to do with the fact that his properties really only come into play if somebody goes down. So if somebody has to go down to get the benefit, which can be problematic because you don't want your teammates to be going down a lot. For a sidearm, he does carry a deagle, so he has one of the best secondary weapons in the game. So that definitely works to his advantage. Especially if your team doesn't have a designated sniper, he's getting all your sniper rifle ammo. So the combat medic, he can do a pretty good job, but he's not a traditional support. In third place, the second best support is going to be Heng. Now, Heng is a bit deceiving because he starts with a hatchet, and I don't recommend you use the hatchet. I would recommend you use literally anything else. Out of the melee weapons, I think the hatchet is the worst weapon out of them. The damage on it's pretty good, and the stumble's pretty good. But I'm just not a fan of the hatchet itself. I think the range on it's too short. I like having a bit more range with either the machete or the bat for the way they swing. What makes Heng really good is that he increases food spawns. Now, if you don't know what food spawns are essentially a mechanic where there's these little bits in the environment. They restore a little bit of health when you eat them. No more than a point or two. But what makes them significant is they give you bonuses over the course. So, like, power bars give you 1% bonus damage for the rest of the level. Heng, you can do an absurd amount of healing off of this. So what Heng does is he increases food spawns, and he restores an additional 1 trauma when he eats food himself, and then he can gain the effects of any of the other food items eaten by other cleaners. So he can become a very dangerous threat as a damage dealer, just off of other people eating food items. The team effect is that you guarantee 1 health and 1 stamina for each food consumed. So he's kind of based around food. Now, food is unpredictable how it spawns, but there are cards that make it better. I didn't want to talk too much about decks, but specifically for Heng, there's Food Scavenger, which increases the amount of food items that spawn. It increases the health you get off of them. And then Wasteland Chef, we're using a combat knife on a food item, creates a better meal. Those 2 cards really make Heng better. Now, if you're taking those 2 cards away, I could see him going below Dan. But with those 2 cards, he's definitely better than that. Because even though he's not as reliable as a healer, he can do much more for the team and much more as a damage dealer. Doc is, in my opinion, the best of the straight-up healers. Mostly because she has the bonus 15% healing efficiency. She has 20% team trauma resistance as her team effect, which is really good, so that everybody takes less trauma damage. And she gets a free heal on each teammate. Now, it's not a lot of healing. It's about 1/8 of their health in the later waves. In the earlier waves, you're looking at, a decent amount. But it's also only once per level. So if you use it at the start of a level, you're kind of screwed. If you use it at the end of the level, depending on your cards, it might not be worth it. But she is the best healer, mostly because of having the trauma resistance and that free heal. That free heal means if nobody has any healing items, she can give everybody a quick heal just to do it. Downside is she can't heal herself for that 25. That would really push her over. Those are your characters that are primarily based around support and healing. What about your brawlers? There's 2 brawlers and kind of a third. So, Sharice, if we're going to rate all the other characters in the damage category, the bottom of the list for me in terms of the rest of the characters is probably going to be Evangelo. He really fits one meta, which is speedrunning or solo play. So his power is that he can break out of grabs once every 60 seconds, which is very good in higher level situations. He has faster stamina regen. He's very much designed for running and gunning. This makes him very good for speedrunning. This makes him very good for solo play. For team play, he's probably the worst of the damage dealers. And he also plays around the machete, but he's not great for melee. He's not. The other melee characters are both better because of the way their passives work. His active is really good. His active is one of the better actives in the game because of the grab. You can break out of grabs. You don't have to rely on your teammates. But it also kind of makes his weapon choice difficult. If you want to play that run and gun style, your choice of weapon is kind of limited. You're not using snipers. You're not using LMGs. ARs you could use, but it really just limits you to SMGs and shotguns. And even then, shotguns, the reload time will kill. SMGs don't give you the range you need, and ARs aren't really great for running and gunning. They're better for aim down sight. So it really depends. The fact that it restricts your weapon choices really means you have to think about what you're going to run for your weapon choices with him. He's not bad for the team movement speed, but if it was at 10% instead of 5%, that would be better. He's just the worst of the basic characters. So then probably the next worst out of the damage dealers is going to be Karli. I don't like saying that, but Karli needs some work. Karli she has an extra quick inventory, but quick inventory sucks. 9 times out of 10, you're carrying a mission objective, and it's taking up your quick slot. Outside of the quick slot, the only thing that's really good is toolkits. And the only time having multiple toolkits is really helpful to you is you need one toolkit for the door, for the secret door in every level. And a couple other you can use a toolkit. If you're playing Act 5, you'll get more uses out of the toolkit. If you're playing with a Tali, or if you're trying to clear Ridden Hives, and you can find the inner hive, you'll get more value out of the toolkit because you can just use it to clear warp chests. It's not really good. What makes her good is she can sense hazards and mutations. So basically, she automatically gets a ping on hazards and mutations. It is a little bit on a timer. Like, sleepers are on a timer. There's only a certain amount of hazards or mutations that can get highlighted at a time. And it does reset. It's relatively quick. It's good for helping her avoid traps. It's good for helping her see sleepers. So she makes a good scout character. She builds into the Tech 9 as her sidearm. Tech 9's not bad. But what you do need to do is you do need to realize that you're going to be building into a more versatile primary. If she's a scout character, it's kind of hard to pair her up with, a sniper because she wants to be ahead. It's kind of hard to pair her up with a shotgun because now she lacks range. The team use speed at 50% is really nice. So, she does have team play, but she's probably one of the least effective damage dealers in the game. She's one of those characters that you can play as a solo character and still benefit the team more, which is why she's here. She really doesn't help team play that much. So then, right above Karli is probably going to be Sharice. I think Sharice is the worst of the melee characters. She has 25% trauma resistance, personally, which is very good for being a brawler and being in the front lines. However, what kind of holds her back is she has a fire axe. She wants to play around the fire axe. Fire axe is a really good overhead swing, but it sucks at sweeping attacks. It sucks at hitting multiple enemies at a time. Her armor sucks. So armor pieces shot off of Ridden have a chance to become makeshift armor. That's great if your team is playing around armor. And armor gets burned through very quickly. Also, you're a melee character. You're not going to be shooting. So while the trauma resistance is good for her, the 25% team bolstered health really kind of sucks. Basically, it means that everybody on the team has stronger health gains and stronger health resistances without actually increasing the team's health. So she's kind of in this weird scenario where individually she's a good character, but in team play she kind of struggles because her style of play doesn't work right. You see a lot of the solo type characters are at the bottom of the food chain because the team-based players are really good. So above Sharice, I'm torn between either Hoffman or Holly. I will probably I'll probably put Hoffman. Yeah, I would probably put Hoffman here. So Hoffman gives the team 15% maximum ammo capacity. But a lot of people are going to be running something that gives them bonus ammo. You're going to be running like the infinite sidearm, or you're going to be running something around having extra ammo for your class. He has a chance to find ammo or offensive accessory whenever he kills a Ridden. It's 10% chance. And if the ammo and the offensive accessory is completely random. He has extra offensive inventory. He's kind of the pack mule on the team. His design is extra ammo and extra offensive items. So he's kind of the guy that's going to be sitting in the back with a big LMG that chews through ammo and a lot of grenades or Molotovs and is just lobbing stuff for continuous rate of fire damage. You can build him into that. One of the downsides to how his playstyle works, though, is because his playstyle is big LMG and offensive grenades, he needs a more versatile secondary. So you're not gonna be running the secondary slot as much. The 1911 is not that great. It's kind of in between the Beretta and the Deagle in terms of like how it functions. It's okay. So it's not a bad thing. But what can hold him back is because he's using an LMG and another type of weapon, your other weapon slot really matters as to what you're running there. If you run something like a shotgun, you're too close range. If you run a sniper, you're too long range. If you run an SMG or an assault rifle, you're kind of just a static mid-range character. And he also has to do a lot of killing in order to keep up that chance of getting ammo or offensive accessories. If your team doesn't know how to play around him, he can be more of a hindrance because he's just chewing through a common ammo type in rifle ammo. All in all, he is good. The rest of the characters that are above him, I would think, are better. Holly's gonna be above him. She's the best of the melee characters. What she does well, she starts with a bat, and she's just very good for walking into crowds and swinging through commons. She heals 1 health every time she kills a Ridden. So basically, every bat swing on commons, she's healing. She can tank hits very well. The reason why she's here, she has higher stamina than other characters, so you can build her for running and gunning and just pull out the bat as needed. The damage resistance is better. The 5% team damage resistance. It doesn't seem like a lot, but the damage resistance matters because the less damage you're taking, the less risk to trauma that you're having, the less overall damage you're having. She makes the healer's job better. And because she's very good at clearing out crowds, she works best in lineups where you have a support, a Holly, a sniper, and a more general purpose type person. Because she can be the one that's running ahead and just swinging through crowds like a mad lad, killing everything. Where I think she suffers from is that she's not as good with guns. And guns in this game can do absurd amounts of damage. That's why everybody else in the list is higher. So there's only 3 other people that are higher. In my opinion, the next best character is going to be Tali. Tala's interesting. She has 2 really good things going for her. 1 is the bleed damage, and 2 is the whistle. She also has 2 things that are kind of working against her. So the thing that worked to her advantage is the whistle. Every map gets a whistle spawn. Meaning, you find the whistle, it takes up your quick item slot, but you can just blow on the whistle. And you basically get a friendly tall boy that will come in and attack shit for you, for free. And it's really cool. It's on a cooldown, but it stays in your inventory from round to round. So you basically get a 5th person, which is nice. And all of her attacks cause bleed damage. And the bleed damage is pretty significant. This is melee bleed damage. This is gun bleed damage. This is bow bleed damage. Fine and dandy. Problem. The first problem is that in addition to the whistle spawn, there's also a warp chest spawn. And if your team doesn't know how to play around warp chests, you're in trouble. If your team doesn't have toolkits and you have to eat the curse, and that curse is something bad, you're screwed. I don't find warp chests to be that great to me, because while the weapons that I get out of them are good, the problem with it is that if I don't get an upgrade, I've eaten a curse for nothing. If I don't find a weapon that suits me, I've eaten a curse for nothing. The other downside is she plays around the bow. The bow is really good. The bow is an infinite ammo weapon that uses stamina. Now this means you kind of have to build her in a melee, even though you're not doing that. If you quick fire the bow, you basically get a machine gun. It's not high damage, but, I mean, it's an infinite ammo machine gun that you can kind of just hold down and fire. If you charge the bow up, now you get a good sniping weapon. But the downside to the bow is that because she plays so heavily around the bow, you're going to be finding yourself not really using your primary. Now, she has a lot of good primary options. You could use a shotgun as a close range, and the bow for long range. You could use an SMG or an assault rifle or an LMG for just spray and pray up close for bleed damage. But the thing I've noticed is that the bow is such a good weapon, you're never going to switch off of it. That might not seem like a problem, but the bow is actually a very situational weapon. It's not good for taking down big boys unless you hit weak points. It's not good for close range swarms if you're trying to charge your shots. You really have to decide if you want to go for charge shots or if you just want to go for spray and pray. The bleed damage makes her good with any weapon, and the fact that she can bring in a 5th player is really good. I'm kind of torn between Jim and Walker. I'm probably gonna say Jim. Jim's probably the second best character. He gives everybody a bonus to Tim weak spot damage. That's really what holds him back, believe it or not. That's the worst part of his kit, because most of the time the team is not hitting weak points. And the damage bonus isn't that good. Precision kills, granting him 2.5 stacking damage until he takes damage. That's infinite. So if you don't take any damage, then you can just keep stacking headshot kills pretty well. The Magnum is one of the better sidearms if you can get the infinite ammo for it, where what you want to do is you want to just keep switching. You just want to switch to your... Start with your secondary, pop off, switch instead of reloading, use your primary. He is built around sniper rifles, so that can be a little bit of a problem. If you're not good with snipers, he's not going to be good. Why do I have him so high? Reload speed. Reload speed makes him really good. 25% bonus reload speed mitigates a lot of reload speed penalties you can have, and that precision kills, granting the bonus, means he can be a team's designated sniper, sitting in the back in most encounters and just picking stuff off. He doesn't do well in swarm type scenarios where you're going to get swarmed from all sides, but he is very good in many other situations. Walker to me is the best of the cleaners. Walker gives everybody a bonus 10 health. He has 10% bonus damage, and any mutations that he pings and highlights deal less damage. He's kind of designed to be your team's run and gunner. He's designed to be your AR specialist. The Glock's not a bad sidearm. It's not a great sidearm, but the main reason you're playing him is because he just makes everything a little bit better. 10% bonus damage, extra 10 health. He does help mitigate a lot of the team's concerns. He's very flexible in the weapons that he can play. If you want to play shotgun as your primary, for your secondary, you can run a longer range pistol. If you want to run an assault rifle, an LMG, or an SMG, you're covered on your sidearm. If you want to run a sniper, although I don't know why you would on him, you can run a more close range option like Tech 9 and still be good. He's just the most versatile out of the group. So that's an overview on your cleaners. You're going to want to build each of them into a certain type of weapon, in my opinion. Some of them are building around their secondaries more. Tala, Dan, Charisse, Holly are building around their secondaries. Some people are building around a certain class of primary. Walker wants to build around ARs. Hoffman wants to build around LMGs. Jim wants to build around snipers. Some of them are kind of just building around whatever you're comfortable with. So